Welcome to Inspire and Move, the show that inspires you to create, connect, and grow. I'm going to bring you meaningful conversations, aha moments, and all the motivation you need to up-level every part of your life. I'm Ali Aruda, founder of Inspire and Move, and your personal hype girl. I've gone from fashion school to celebrity stylist to corporate marketing to brick and mortar entrepreneurship with my husband, each time learning incredible lessons how to pivot, reimagine, and implement the steps to become successful. I am passionate about inspiring others to live their best life, a life of joy. We have the power to design a life that we love because life is too short not to. The best part is that you weren't meant to do this alone. If you feel like you were meant for more, let me ride shotgun with you, and together, let's get you to where you want to go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Inspire and Move podcast. And I am excited for not just myself, but both of us.
Hi, guys.
To be here together because I feel like it has been a bit of a hot minute. We've had a lot of moving parts in our life, but we've also had some seriously fire guests for interviews on this show.
Yeah, it's been a good run of who has come on and, more importantly, what they've shared on here. A lot of impactful conversation. It's been amazing.
At the time of recording this today, the second part of my interview with Chris Harder came out yesterday.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And I was leaving a hair wash appointment. It's one of my girlfriend's salons. And she's like, what are you doing now? I'm like, well, I'm going to walk home and listen to a podcast. She asked me which one. I was like, well, I'm going to listen to mine. I'm actually really excited about part 2 of my interview with Chris. And it's something that I don't know, any of you listening, if you also listen to your own episodes, but for me, it's like my own form of research. I want to hear how I speak. Do I have awkward pauses? Do I am in awe? What's the quality of my questions? Do I interrupt the guest? So it's kind of my own research, but also the content and value that Chris shared in not only part 1, but also part 2 was really amazing.
Yeah, he went very deep into a lot of personal things. Certainly business-wise, he gave some really good tips on his own personal strategies for investment, which in and of itself could be taught as a 2-day mastermind on its own, for goodness sake, based on their track record. But even outside of the X's and O's and the money component, went deep, went personal. It was a hell of a listen. If you guys have not heard it yet, it is a very real conversation that sheds light on a lot of important things, a lot of great things.
And the time when we recorded that was when we were in Arizona back in February we were in Arizona for our benchmark fitness retreat, then rolled right into Chris and Lori Harder's dinner series. And now we're getting ready to head to LA at the end of this month for dinner series part 2.
Part 2. And some cool people, same people that we saw last time, plus a handful of others that I'm sure will be a beautifully curated list. So that's exciting.
Yes. And it's all about getting in the room.
It always is.
That's a good segue.
On that note, shall we chat about a date upcoming?
Yes, we shall.
Go for it.
So our Get in the Room one-day mastermind is happening Thursday, June 20th in beautiful Ontario wine country. We are so excited about this.
Yeah, we're talking about a curated group of entrepreneurs that want to show up and that want to have, I'd say, no more than 10 to 12 total people who will also be in that room, high performing entrepreneurs that want to not only look for situations or look for answers to situations that they're dealing with, but also have the ability to pour into your own potential issues, your own headwinds that you're facing, because these same people are walking the same walk and likely have gone through very similar things. So the power of having a dozen people all working on the exact same problems or issues at the same time, I mean, it's the shortcut. It's always the friggin' shortcut, right?
I love that so much. And we have, we're going to have some professional headshots, video content for everybody that is in attendance.
Wine tastings.
Yes, please.
Lunch. It's going to be great. Look, we're not selling you on food and wine, although that's a nice bonus. That will come just on the basis of where we're at. But I think the power of what we get in that 8 to 10 hours of being with one another and coming out better because of it, I think it'll move the needle for a lot of people's individual businesses and personally, for that matter.
Totally. Yes, I agree on that. That ours has always been our experience of getting in these rooms and masterminds and making those investments. We have the focus for the professional components of what we're looking to achieve, but it's also what we've gained for ourselves and our own personal confidence, some new mindset shifts, and then also relationships and friendships.
Yeah, that's a huge part, right? We've literally found friends that will last a lifetime. I have found business partners. There's just things that you don't go into that looking for, but they're natural byproducts, again, of having very similar minded people all bringing that superpower of theirs into the same place at the same time.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah.
And speaking of superpowers, today's episode and topic has been inspired by, I'm just going to go ahead and call him a superhuman.
Yeah, he kind of is.
I think he's amazing. But you and I have been on a kick of just loving Ed Milet, and especially his solo episodes where he goes really deep on some really amazing topics.
And digestible stuff. Like his podcasts are typically 20-25 minutes.
Love it.
So, you're not committing to a 2-hour marathon and having to break it down over the course of 2, 3, 4 days, because who the hell has 2 hours uninterrupted short of being on a plane or passenger in a car? So this lends itself for busy schedules, which is nice.
Absolutely. And this is one I listened to first on a dog walk, and I came home and I was like, babe, we have to listen to this together. It was so great. It was so moving. I think it really hit me and us in a very opportune time of just some things that we've been experiencing recently. And I think I can say confidently that we're probably not alone, and that what we're sharing here today is going to resonate with probably a lot of you, at least one of you, but I think there's going to be a generous handful.
One would always be the goal, but anything more than that is a monster win. And to no longer delay it any further than necessary, what we're going to talk about today is the idea of ensuring that you do whatever you can to make sure that you fulfill the best of what you can bring to the table at all times, or at least recognize when you're choosing to sell yourself short and not be completely fulfilled in any of the actions you're trying to take to make yourself better.
I love that. And do you have any specific examples?
Examples?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I would say examples per se, but they're just things that you want to keep in mind all the way through. Ultimately, to want to be great in whatever you're doing effectively means you wanting to be different from most people. And setting yourself apart is crucial in achieving that success and achieving that fulfillment. Otherwise, all you're doing is riding the exact same wave as what 1 million, 10 million other people have done before you. And I've said this before, there's nothing wrong with the 9 to 5, the punching in, the punching out. But I know as sure as hell, anybody who's in earshot of this is not that person. That's why you're listening to a podcast on entrepreneurship and specifically understanding that the power that you have is based off of the input that you control alone. And that is what's not normal for most people. It's normal to work a 9 to 5 shift. It's normal to have a pension in place and work until you're 60 or 65, and that's all there is to that. That's all fine. But if you want more than that, then you've got to set yourself up to be different from the rest of those people, because that's where your true fulfillment comes in, if that is what you're looking to do.
Well, I think there's a lot of conversations that really support this about being uncomfortable. And I feel like I have been having this conversation a bit more frequently in the gym with some of my training clients that I train one-on-one. And some of them are at the very beginning of their fitness journey, and I'm so excited and grateful to be a part of that. And I'll get feedback of like, I hate this. This sucks. I don't enjoy this. And I try to tell them with a lot of love and encouragement that, are you uncomfortable? Yes. Well, good. That's where the growth and the change happens, because you're not going to be fulfilled, to your point about fulfillment. You're not going to be fulfilled with your fitness journey if you don't see any change. This is why we exercise and do things that are uncomfortable, that make us breathless and, make us sweaty and rosy cheeks. And I feel like I've been so in the fitness world right now for where we're at in our life and business that I'm seeing so many beautiful examples of what we talk about here from an entrepreneurship standpoint, and also the conversations I have one-on-one with my clients, that, this fulfillment piece, this growth and change and discomfort. And along the way of growth and change and discomfort, you're gonna disrupt some people. I think I can say that pretty confidently.
Yeah, I think it's almost, not almost, it should absolutely be expected that you're going to be criticized.
And
You're
have
going
haters.
to have haters.
Oh, yeah.
100%. And the mindset, and it's easier said than done sometimes, but the mindset that you have to look to adopt is to be okay with being criticized by these people. They're seeing you evolve and grow into something or somebody that they don't recognize, that they didn't know who this person was. And so often their natural recourse is to say things that in the moment might make them feel a little bit better, might make them feel a little bit more comfortable by making you feel uncomfortable. They're trying to shrink you so as to have you be more on their level, to be more closer to their size. How often have you heard, and I've been there, I've heard it myself, how often have you heard yourself, I mean, where you obviously work your ass off? And I'm not just talking from a professional standpoint. When you work out at the gym, you work out. We both do. We're committed to anything and everything. We work out 5-6 days a week. And it's kind of a non-negotiable. It's just part of what our routine is, and that's how it goes. It makes us feel better in every way. But all that to be said, how many times have you had people come up to you and say to you, aren't you tired of working out? Don't you want to give your body a rest? Or then it comes down to people who might have go out for dinner, or you might have us over for dinner, or things of that nature. And, they see the physical shape that you are in, and they know what your routine is, because you're sure as hell not shy to put it on Instagram. No. You're not hiding anything. So they see that, and they might not comment on recognizing how hard that work is or what the results are from that hard work. But they also have no problem in asking questions like, oh, I'm sure Allie wouldn't have a bag of chips. Or, sorry, Allie, we don't have enough vegetables on the plate. And, these are the kinds of things that, you laugh it off, and that's great. But deep down, why are they saying that? Is it as a means of making you feel better? Because that can't be the case. So truly, it's really nothing other than trying to dim your light, trying to make you smaller so as to have you be a similar size to where they are, because that's what makes them comfortable. Talking up to somebody isn't as comfortable as talking to them right in front of them. And that's where we see this more often than not. But that's okay. If that's how they feel, that's not up to you. That's not in your control. So you have to be okay. And this comes from mindset work. You've got to be okay with knowing that you are different. In fact, you're doing a shit ton of work in order to be different. It's intentional.
Well, it's funny, right before we hit record, I was looking at some video clips from these Arizona interviews, and this was one of my also amazing conversation with Lindsay Schwartz, the founder and creator of Powerhouse Women, and a good friend. And I was saying in our conversation how I've really learned quickly in business, especially now that you and I own a brick and mortar business, with people that come and go, and some stay for a really long time, some stay for a short period of time. And then there's a lot of exterior stuff as well, including people. But I have quickly learned that in business and in life, you cannot be everything to everyone. And I think as soon as we can find peace in that, and truly not just like, oh yeah, I can't be everything to everyone. You have to really feel it and believe it, that you can and will not be everything to everyone, that you're gonna feel better. You're gonna really release the set of expectations. And it's something that I have thankfully learned quickly, but I still absolutely have areas that I can improve in that feeling and understanding that everything that I want is so much more than somebody else's opinion and being their cup of tea. I would rather have like no tea and just drink my own tea and be all in on that and chase my dreams, work hard at them, because I know what's on the other end. And that is what I and we are working so hard for. And unfortunately, what comes with that is some of this disruption and this noise.
Gremlins trying to grab your ankles as you're running by.
I feel like it's one of my favorite words right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, unfortunately, it's a reality. And, in a situation like that, and because of somebody like yourself, and not just you, and there are a ton of people that are going to resonate with this, but because specifically that you're looking at people or understanding people that are trying to bring you down to their level, and I don't necessarily mean derogatorily, just talking to you in a way that makes you feel like you should dim your light. For a lot of people, what they do, because they're naturally good people, is they do dim their light. And in doing that, it makes that other person comfortable, but it intentionally has you compromising your own belief in yourself. And that's where the biggest injustice is, because ultimately you have an obligation to be the very best version of yourself. And as selfish as that might sound, it's the exact opposite of selfish. Because as soon as you can be the best version of what you are and hone your craft to the greatest abilities that you can bring to the table with, then think about how many hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people over time can absolutely be in that light, take advantage of, and gain perspective from, gaining your impact from, because you have made the decision to be the best version of yourself. And that comes with a compromise. It comes with you choosing to be different so that you do stand out from the crowd, so that people can find you easier and take inspiration from you accordingly. If you don't sink into your ability to be as great as you possibly can, think of how many people will never get the opportunity to learn from your greatness and then go impact 1,000, 10,000 people themselves. So you not doing it is the bigger injustice versus dimming your own light so that you can appease one person.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, if you dim your light and you try to be a different version of yourself instead of being the greatness that you are and that you feel and that you are hungry for, when you are in that, embodying that greatness, you are going to attract greatness. And you hear this, that like attracts like. And we've really been seeing this at Benchmark,
Absolutely.
at our gym. Like, the quality of people that are coming to our gym and joining our gym is just amazing.
And by quality, let's verify what
Yeah,
we mean
so
by this.
like
They
their
are,
core values.
yes, they are people whose core values are all very steadily the same across the board, where they are family people and they are community people,
Mhm.
and they care about the space that they are in. They are grateful for the space that they are in.
Well, they're kind and respectful to one another.
Absolutely.
And very
They're
positive.
the kind of people that you want to be surrounded by. If you could pick avatars of the people you want to stand by so that you can feel supported and that you too can support somebody else, these are the people that are with consistency knocking on our door recently.
And I think that is so powerful in life and in business, of who you surround yourself and who you attract. And I know we sort of had this in our kind of like pre-recording notes, but small-minded people will attract small-minded people, and you're going to be in this small-minded energy and you're going to get stuck there.
Have small-minded conversations where there isn't growth and there isn't encouragement to grow, because again, doing so means that you have to choose to be different from the people that you have lined yourself up with, and that's uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. And having some of those conversations, like money. I had a phone conversation the other day with one of my longtime best friends, Kirsty Stone, owner of RetroVi. I'm obsessed with everything she's doing. And
So is all of Hollywood, by the way.
like,
Let's not play this down. Like, she is absolutely crushing custom jewelry game out in Los Angeles, to the extent where, name some of the people that have worn it. Like,
I
in the
don't
last
know,
6 months, I mean.
Oprah, Jennifer Lopez, Chris Pine with some custom buttons, and wait
And
for it,
cufflinks.
Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, like, Kirsty Stone is not fucking around.
No.
Yeah.
And she's coming on the podcast. I cannot wait for that.
Also, her last name is Stone.
How perfect.
Like, come on.
But
Meant to be.
we've been best friends for, my gosh, like 20 years. And we've not lived in the same country for the majority of that time. But we were having a long overdue phone call the other day. And I'm going to keep this brief, but where I'm going with this is, it was maybe a 20, 25-minute conversation. We were both in the car, and I was sharing like a big business goal that was sort of revenue specific, number specific. And I find a lot of people don't want to talk about numbers. But I think that is such a powerful thing. You're putting it out in the universe. You're telling someone what your number goal is. And my gosh, if it's part of the conversation where maybe you've just hit your big goal, and that was part of a conversation that she and I were having, and she immediately interrupted me. She celebrated it. And it was just so refreshing. How good of a mood was I in when I came home and told you about this phone call?
Floating, yeah.
That it was just so nice to have a short but sweet but impactful conversation about wins in her business, wins in our business. And then, okay, how are the kids? Great. Yeah, dogs are good. Okay, love you. Goodbye. Talk to you soon. But these people that are going to be cheering you on, and maybe they're going to be in the muck with you sometimes if you have some challenges and road bumps and you're facing those headwinds, but you're having these expansive, open-minded people along with you in life and business to celebrate you and to go deep and have those really powerful conversations and really be proud of the progress that you're making and the growth that you're experiencing.
Yeah, and those are the kind of people that when you find them, and they're out there, they do exist. When you find them, you hold on because they're the ones that are going to be with you over anything good, bad, high, low, anything in the middle. They're the people you want in your corner because ultimately, people will talk about you when you're low,
Mm.
but they sure as shit are going to talk about you when you're high too.
And they're going to find the flaws in your successes. And
100%. And so, in that breath, why would you take anything that they say as impactful with where the rest of your journey is going to go if no matter whether you're doing well or not, they're still talking shit? Why would they hold any relevance in your life if at any given point, if you're not in the room, they're talking about you?
yeah. And I saw this Instagram meme last year. Actually, it wasn't a meme, it was a reel of a fellow Glossy investor, actually,
Mm-hmm.
that I got to meet at Lori's investor dinner a couple of years back. And it was this audio was just amazing of how, basically people are going to talk about you no matter what, good or bad, to the point that you just made. So you may as well give them a freaking show.
She didn't even say frickin'.
No, I wanted to say the other word that had a bit more weight for the expression, but my mom listens to the show, so I feel like
Yeah.
I had a couple F bombs actually in my interview with Chris, so we'll just park it right there
Well,
for the
that's the quota for the month.
frickin' show. Give him a frickin' show.
That's right. Speaking of show, going back to Ed Milet, which has I know been the preface that we started with and kind of the inspiration for what this episode is specifically. He dropped a lot of really great nuggets and one-liners along the way.
Like, pardon my progress. I think I stopped dead in my tracks.
Do you want to expand on that one?
Yeah, and it's something that you can apply to friends, family, even.
Boundaries, man.
That not everyone's going to be excited for you on your growth and expansion journey. They aren't going to love when you're really busy and you don't have as much time, or your texts are like, "Hey, how are you? Are you doing well? Okay, cool." Or, you're not posting on Instagram, whatever it may be. There's categories for all of them. And friends, family, people in your community, they're not all going to be, all excited about this journey. But when he said part of my progress, I thought, wow. And I had this conversation actually with a few people in my DMs that had also listened to this episode, that it really resonated. And I thought it was such a powerful line that I want to put in my little personal development toolbox, because we might have to use it sometime. Just, thanks so much for your feedback, but pardon my progress.
Yeah, you're going to have to not apologize for doing as well as you can in what you're doing. It's not coming at the compromise of people's personal relationships with you. But again, it's understanding. And whether they understand it or they don't, again, that's not your problem. It's not your issue to work through. But understanding that your ability to grow everything that you have been putting and pouring yourself into so wholeheartedly and finally being able to see results. And I'm not just talking, results at the gym space or what's happening for Ali and I. I'm talking to everybody that's out there. Once you start seeing the results and the progress that you're making from the effort that you're giving, that's not the time to say, "Oh, I'm good now. I'll take a step back and kind of sink back into my old life."
Keep going.
You need to use that as momentum to truly fulfill where it is you want to go. And along the way, what you're going to do is expand your boundaries to be in roles that other people aren't going to recognize you in that moment because it's the first time you were there. But it doesn't mean you're not meant to be there.
Because as you grow, you are naturally going to make others around you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that's when they're going to have kind of what you've already been sharing, what we've been chatting about. Then they're going to talk good, bad, but they're going to talk about you. And it's just going to be uncomfortable for them. And you have to your point, just keep going, grow through it, and keep that progress, keep that momentum going.
Well, this is where Ed Milet dropped a line, which is not his, it's from Gandhi, but still powerful nonetheless. And it's one sentence and it's right between the eyes. "I won't let you walk through my mind with your dirty feet."
And sometimes we can be the ones with our own dirty feet
It's
going through
our
our
feet
mind.
can be dirty, but your mind has got to be the most important part of what's going to propel you to anything worth being propelled towards. So why would you let anybody, including yourself, walk through it with dirty feet? You take your damn shoes off and you better be wearing socks, because if you're not protecting that part, everything else that you've worked up to that point has been a futile investment in your time.
Mm-hmm. And you got to keep your mind clear, keep those feet clean and your mind clear, and boundaries, but also fueling yourself with things that make you feel inspired and motivated, and knowing that, if you made this conscious decision to get on this rocket ship of growth and change and momentum, whether that be in your business, but also personally, and how you want to develop and how you want to be great, just get on that rocket ship, because once you're on, it's not that very easy to get off. So you make that commitment to stay on. Perhaps you have some mentors or accountability partners. We really find a lot of power in that, where we type out to ours. We're like, this is our big goal. It's kind of stretchy, it's kind of uncomfortable, but it's a good uncomfortable, because we are very driven to achieve that and surpass that.
And if you have the ability to find that person that you can say these things to, we're lucky. For us, it's us.
Mm-hmm.
We live in the same house. We cross paths all the time. It's not that big of a house. So we are forced to facing what those challenges are and what those goals are, as as accelerated as they might be or as lofty as they might seem. But my point is, finding somebody is going to help you keep accountable to that. And in some cases, you have to pay for it. Sometimes it's a coach. Sometimes it's being a part of a mentorship program that allows you to stay accountable, because you only doing it for yourself lets too many opportunities of other people's voices sneaking in.
Oh, it's like training. You can go to the gym and do something hard. You're like, oh my God, these bicep curls are so hard. I'm just going to do 8. But if you're doing them with a trainer, you are doing 12.
Damn right.
Whether they're hard and really hard.
They're standing beside you and counting.
And it's like that. This is a perfect example. So sure, you make your goal, you write it down, and then at the end of the month, you're like, oh shoot, I didn't hit that. But you've paid for a coach or a mentorship program or a mastermind, or maybe you're getting in the room for a 1-day mastermind, but you've met 10 other amazing entrepreneurs that are going to hold you accountable and ask you about your big goals.
And might have skill sets to get you to that goal.
Yeah. It's this beautiful circle, guys, that you want to get into these little orbits and have people support you and cheer you on and help you navigate those gritty times, and also have people that are like you that want to grow and flourish and be great.
And that's all there is to that, friends. We hope that you found some good nuggets in this one. I think there's some, replay it, slow it down, take some notes. If there are things here that resonated, I think the idea here is, the goal here is to make sure that you know that you are meant to fulfill your biggest and wildest dreams. And as crazy as it might sound when you say it out loud, and as crazy as other people might react to those goals, that's what you want. Because otherwise, all you're doing is conforming. All you're doing is relegating yourself to a life of normalcy. And if that's what you want, it's fine. 9 to 5, let's do it. But if it's not what you want, and I know it isn't, because otherwise you wouldn't be listening to this, then you have no choice but to find the self-esteem and the self-belief of knowing that you're meant for more. And in the headwinds of other people's voices, you have to stay true to knowing that it is not selfish for you to look after yourself, because in looking after yourself, you invariably look after so many others.
I think just living to your full potential, play all out, and go be great.
Go be great.
And until next time, thank you for being great and being here recording with me.
Love ya.
Love you guys. Love and appreciate you, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for listening. If you loved this episode, it would mean the world to me if you took 30 seconds and shared this on social media, send it to a friend, or leave a 5-star review. There is power in community, and I am so grateful to have you part of mine.